Hey guys, welcome to LOL starring Chris Smith, the best comedy show on Love to Be Radio. Why is that? It's because it's the only comedy show on Love to Be Radio. Guys, how are you doing? It is another Sunday, and I have got another fantastic guest I have with me right now. He is a YouTuber, actor, composer, opera singer with more than 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, with over millions on Spotify. He is an accomplished opera singer who has done multiple productions of several artists and has covered so many musical analysts things which I've butchered his intro so much, but it doesn't matter because I love him so much. One of the founding members of Bass saying, Mr. Peter Barber. Hello, Peter.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you
Glad to
so
be
much for
here.
being a part of this. So, this whole show will be basically go for your life and music and stuff. Let's start with the basics at the top. So, you are an opera singer. You graduated from the Academy of Vocal Arts and Arizona Opera. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Fully trained, but you initially did get scholarships in track and football, if I'm right.
Yeah, so the story there, I can give you the sort of elevator pitch is I was all about sports in high school. All the way through middle school and high school was all about sports. And really the only music I was involved in was my mom kind of pushing me towards to do it because she was actually a classical cellist. And so
Oh,
she got me involved in a jazz singing group, which was like looking back on all this, it's so cool that she got me involved with this stuff. But I was in a jazz singing group. She got me to audition for some choirs like my senior year. I did some, I was in band up through ninth grade, from sixth grade to ninth grade, played the trombone. Let's go. And
of course you were.
yeah. And then right before I was going into my senior year, my mom encouraged me to get some classical voice lessons for the first time. And that teacher who worked at UVA, University of Virginia, was the one that really pushed me to start studying that in college. And so as I was applying, the fall right after that summer, as I was applying to schools, it was like I was applying to some music programs, but I was also very much trying to go to school for track and football, like you said, track or football and or. And but I only wanted to go play a sport if I got like a big D1 scholarship where there'd be like a shot at like, the pros or something like that. It's kind of
Yeah.
like go big or go home. And I ended up getting into the University of Miami for music, which was just a higher ranked program than anywhere I got offers for sports. And so the die had been cast, and I ended up going to University of Miami for classical voice, which was not at all what I would have expected.
Not exactly the lifetime you initially thought out.
Yes, exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
so do classical training a little bit. Then your mother has history of that. When did you know, or was there a moment where you knew, like, oh, I can sing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the moment, but I do remember. My mom could probably talk more about this, or my dad. Like I would sing all the characters in all the Disney movies growing up. So
Oh
my
yeah,
favorite example is when Belle is going through the streets in the beginning of Beauty and the Beast, and there's the baker, and there's the lady with the eggs, and there's the guy at the library, and there's all these people, and there's Gaston and LeFou, and I would just do all these voices.
you
With
remembered the whole thing.
oh, remember the whole thing? Yeah, all the words, all these Disney movies, and that's kind of where my singing started. Is just like mimicking the voices on Disney movies.
Fair
Um,
enough.
and yeah, I still do that nowadays, by the way. You
Well, yeah,
know?
clear. If anyone has seen your channel and other things, Disney's still much a big part of your
Yes,
life.
yes. I think that the songwriters for Disney, especially I would say in that like Beauty and the Beast, Hercules kind of late '90s 2000s window is just unbeatable, absolutely unbeatable.
No, that I agree. Like there's something about like the '90s Disney era where musical every musical kid was just like, okay, so this is my life now. I'm just watching these.
Yes, just undeniably so good, so catchy, so fun, so powerful. A lot of those songs, it's just they just didn't miss. They did not miss.
But then was there a thing where it's like you are a bass singer? Was there a tactic of like, okay, I need to train myself to be a bass singer, or was it like, okay, no, I have this natural lower tone voice?
Yeah. Good question. I mean, your low chest range is a very natural thing. You can train kind of power and resonance down there, like I've done so much of for opera, for example, and you can train extended techniques like subharmonics or other things like that. But like your natural chest range, like where you speak, is a pretty hard line for people. So there's not a whole lot you can do to kind of force it to get lower. So when I was a kid, I always loved low voices. I thought, it's like Gaston, and whoever other villains had low voices. I was just fascinated by the low voice. So I wanted that for myself. But to be honest, when my voice first dropped when I was, I think, about 13, I didn't go from being like a high voice soprano to being like low bass, like you hear about some of these basses. I went from
Yeah.
being like a whatever normal kid voice to like very much a baritone. But then my voice since then has just very slowly continued to go down and down and down and down and down. So it's like baritone, then kind of a low baritone, then kind of a bass baritone, which is typically what I still operate by in the opera world for a few reasons. But
Mm.
most people would, if they heard me sing or heard my voice, they'd just be like, well, that's just a bass. you
Yeah,
know?
pretty much, a little bit, yeah.
you know?
But is that something where it's like over time you've had to like hone in, like how low you can go?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's like I said, there's a lot of there's a lot you can do to maximize sort of the efficiency and the power and what you can do with the low notes down there, or even how to access like the extreme low notes. But what basses really have to focus a lot more on is what to do with the upper range.
Oh,
Because even in certain genres, you don't even need an upper range as a bass. If you're an a cappella bass or you're a choral bass, in like sacred literature, you just sing bass too, and you just chill down there. But to sing bass as an opera singer, you have to sing really high for bass voice. It's not high for other people's voices, but really high for our voices, right? And
that's what I
so,
imagine also quite loud as well because you have to project as well, which is as deep as tough.
oh yeah, it is. It is when you're singing opera, especially in your upper range, it is like full on health. I call it healthy yelling because it's like when a normal person yells, it's like very kind of distorted and gritty, right?
Mm.
That's because people's vocal folds are like smacking together when they yell. But when an opera singer like locks in breath support and we have the vocal fold strength to where you sing with the power of a full yell, but it stays really efficient. And it
Mm.
is crazy, crazy loud. If you ever get to hear like a pro opera singer up close, it is like it's a shocking amount of sound that comes out because there's no microphones in the opera house. So you got to be able to project over an orchestra without a microphone. It's a crazy thing. It feels like a superpower when you do it right.
But that's the thing, like you said, doing it right. Where there are moments like in the early days, especially when you were early performer, where you did it and then afterwards you went back and said, like, where did my voice go now? It's just gone.
Oh yeah, I mean I had horrendous classical technique when I started, I would just be trying to kind of make the sounds of like the opera singers, but was really nowhere close to singing with like good, efficient breath support. And that's just part of it. I mean, you get to like freshman year at a classical conservatory. There are some people that like figure it out really fast. Like I know some singers who were their classical technique was pretty good by the time they got to undergrad, which is insane. There are other people like me. I mean, it took me till late 20s to when I feel like I was like really getting solid, like a decade. So it did not come naturally to me at all. Despite growing up with singing, like singing opera really took a ton of work.
I mean, was that a thing growing up because your mother was classically trained, so was opera and classical music just a part of your life, regardless?
Honestly, it wasn't really. Like because my mom wasn't a big opera person. She just played the cello and she studied the cello and she played in some community or because she ended up going to medical school. So she didn't pursue that professionally, but she played in some community orchestra. She can still play cello quite well. She's actually been on one of my songs. She was on the cover of Zombie that I did with Tegan. That's my mom playing cello on
Oh,
that.
really? Oh, that's a nice
yeah,
little bit there.
yeah. But she didn't really she definitely introduced me to some classical music, but I think I saw the first opera I remember seeing was my senior year of high school. So like right before I was about to study this stuff was the first time I saw it, and it was Don Giovanni, and it was the 2011 Met live broadcast. And so we went to our
Yeah.
theater. We went to our theater in Charlottesville, and get this, Don Giovanni is my favorite role I've ever done. It's one of my favorite operas ever, and I fell asleep during it my senior year of high school.
You wake up and just think, oh, it's over. Like, what
I
happened?
literally woke up during the commendatore scene, which is like one of the most famous, like badass bass voice scenes in all of opera. And I was just like, what's going on? Like I was so bored I fell asleep. And then that's so funny because
Oh,
like 10 years later I'm singing that role and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
I love that. Even someone who studied opera it can acknowledge and be like, yeah, I bet this can be a tiny bit boring to watch.
It just, some operas, it was, they're written in a different time period where people objectively had more time to kind of sit around, or they didn't actually have more time, but the pace at which life was lived was very different, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you do an uncut version of Marriage of Figaro, for example, it's like
Mm.
4 hours. But
Oh
nowadays,
Jesus.
it gets chopped to bits to try and get it usually down under like 3 hours.
That
You
that
know,
I do understand that because there's
I
someone
do
who,
too.
well, in the sense of like not opera, but someone who did Shakespeare, knowing that
Oh,
like Hamlet is about like 4 or 5 hours long, the full bit of it. So when cut down, it's just like, oh, thank God, I'm not doing the whole thing.
yeah, and you can still hit the big beats, and you can still get the core. You know,
Yeah.
and different directors will cut the show differently, but the good ones, they can get the essence of what Mozart and Da Ponte or what Shakespeare were getting at by shortening it to a more modernized audience that
Well, that
doesn't
and
want
also
to.
just to give the audience a break. And it's just like if you're asking people to sit for 4 hours, you've got to give them a little bit of something better.
It's a long time. It's a
It is a
long
long
time
time.
to be sitting. Yeah, for sure.
So so as you pointed out, you have performed in many operas, including the lead in Don Giovanni and as La Boheme and as Figaro.
Yeah.
Was these are not like unknown operas? I mean, even I know that, which is saying something. Was at the time was there pressure on you to get those roles right, especially the lead in Don Giovanni?
Okay. Yes, for sure. Don Giovanni. And the pressure you're talking about is more about not necessarily the role, but the environment or the institution or the organization you're performing with. So when I did roles in my undergrad, I did some big roles. I did Bartolo in Barber of Seville, which is like the big boss buffo kind of antagonist character. But it is so I literally cried highlighting my score because it was so much Italian and I was so overwhelmed when I got
Oh
it.
wow!
Like, so I did that role in undergrad, and I did another big role, Don Alfonso and Così fan tutte, in my last year of undergrad, and those are huge roles. But like, as an undergrad, if you're halfway decent as a bass, you just get showered in praise, and people are just like so happy you're there. So there was like no scrutiny on my Italian or my technique or anything like that. And then I go to my master's where I did Figaro, and there's more scrutiny, right? They're okay. Now it's master's degree. And
Yeah.
USC, which is a really good music school, they're dialing
Mm.
it up a little more. There's more scrutiny. There's more coaching specifically on the technique and the language or whatever. And then I go to ABA, which is notoriously like maybe the hardest training in the opera
Like
world. Period.
the top tier, like you go there, you're good.
Pretty much, yeah. Excuse me. And it is like notoriously like opera boot camp, and the coaches there are tough, and some of them will just dunk on you in front of an entire ensemble about if your vowel is a tiny bit off or you didn't have the full amount of legato from one note to the next on one line of a phrase. They'll just dunk on you. And so I
Yes.
did I did Don Giovanni in that environment with a guy, the head maestro there, who is notoriously a fantastic but also brutal with Mozart. So I did like
Oh,
one of the biggest Mozart roles with a guy who throughout the opera world is like feared for his brutality and especially for his Mozart coaching. So
god
very
damn! Like,
different pressures.
nah. But I suppose that's it's a thing that I think I mentioned people don't sort of go into that much because not just singing operas is one thing, but with you study it, but it also does mean you have to study other languages as well, including Italian and German things, which is like is there was when you started out was there a thing of like I have to learn an entire language and then on top of that you have to sing it, especially the right vowels and things in another language.
Yes, totally. It was very intimidating at first. It is something you get very, very accustomed. And I'm not fluent in any of these languages. I got quite conversational in Italian when I spent a good amount of time over there for various programs or whatever.
Yeah.
But we do get intensive coaching on how to sound fluent. So we call it diction classes, where we're learning how to pronounce
I mean,
things right.
how particular do they get you in terms of like pronouncing the right words in the opera?
It's very particular. like like especially at a place like AVA, Like
Mm.
if you don't, if you would not sound fluent to a fluent speaker of that language, they haven't done their job.
Oh, wow.
So like for someone that comes in that's like a fluent Italian speaker, like born and raised Italian, they come watch a show at AVA and we're singing in Italian. It should look like magic to them that there are these American singers up there
Yeah.
singing in their language, you know?
A guy from Arizona who could speak perfect Italian.
Yes, exactly. It's like how is that possible? And what so a funny little anecdote about this is I remember when I was in Italy, because I had trained so much in diction, I would go to the market and I would ask for whatever food, and they would actually fire back in like really fast Italian because it would sound like a fluent Italian speaker. And then I'd be like, "Oh, non parlo più un po' di italiano, non," it's like
No,
I
I
don't
get,
actually speak it fluently. Like let's relax
no, I
here.
love that. You did what every holiday maker in Europe does, which is especially the English, where it's just like we learn like one or two lines of French and Italian. It's just like we'll do what, and then when they catch on, it's just like, oh no, no,
No,
I'm just
no, I was just testing it, just testing it. But like most of the time, if an American speaker goes and says something in Italian, they'll just automatically speak back in English because
yeah.
they can hear the accent so thick. But if you
Mm.
get an opera singer using like the pocket lines, then sometimes it's convincing enough where they'll actually fire back like really fast in Italian, and then it
Oh,
immediately gets
damn.
overwhelming. But yeah, the diction very very heavily coached.
So how much then did you study like the core of the operas themselves? Like did you have to read the music?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's a huge part of preparing a role because everything has to be memorized, right?
Mm.
And the only way to do that is just spend time with the score. And you can do a lot of listening to kind of get the melodies in your ears, but you can't do too much listening because then you'll have a certain a way you'll have the way some singer did it in your ear, and then if like your conductor wants to do something differently or if the stage direction doesn't line up with that, then you have to like go against what you've learned. So you want to get at least my method, and everyone's a little different here. I'll listen enough to where I have a very clear idea about what it's supposed to sound like, and then I'll go to the score and usually start with the language and just work with the language, get the translations down, get it to where I can speak the text like very fluently on my own, basically, and then put that back into the melodies that are actually sung or the harmonies that are sung during an ensemble moment. But yeah, you have to spend an ungodly amount of time learning it, and then
Mm.
you take everything that you've learned, and then that goes to vocal coaches, and then you coach the language, you coach the singing, you coach the technique, and you like bring the character to life basically with the coaches.
I mean, has that ever happened where in previous or in current operas that you've done where you have clashed with the director or the composer just in terms of what they wish for you to sound like and what you want to sound like?
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. I'd say that occasionally that'll come from a conductor that wants you to do something differently than how you've rehearsed, like vocally. So let's say there are these things called cadenzas, where it might be the very end of a section of a song, and you often can make up your own notes to sing there. It'll like have a fermata, which is where you just hold a note, and then it'll be like traditional practice to sing around the fermata and add your own interpretation to it, basically to make it your own. Sometimes you'll bring that to a rehearsal, and the conductor will want you to do something completely different or not do anything at all. Because they have they're coming from their side where they have their
Yeah.
resources, they have their great singers that they like the cadenzas they did,
Mm.
and so you and I mean you're gonna listen to the conductor, quite frankly.
And I was about to say, who wins that fight? Who's the one in charge?
The conductors have a lot of power in the opera world.
Really?
They often have a lot to do with casting if they have good relationships with the houses they're working for, and because they're controlling the music and the music's really what it's about at its core. Like they're
Mm.
making decisions based on the whole party, the whole orchestra and all the singers. So like you have to do you really have to do what the conductor wants, unless it's like uncomfortable for you vocally. Like if the
So,
conductor tries to go at a tempo that's just way too fast or too slow for how you can sing an aria, you have to push back and be like, listen, like you might want that, but I physically cannot do that. Like it will not work.
yeah.
Aside from that, you want to be pretty flexible with the conductors.
So no matter what, like, in the opera world, be nice to your conductors, but also let them know what you can actually do.
Yes. Yes. It's really important, especially with Like riffing in modern music. It's like someone
Yeah.
holds a note and then riffs around. In opera, that's called coloratura. And coloratura is really important to get the speed right because ideally you want to line it up with how fast your vibrato is. Because if
Ah.
it's not, if it's like really, if you've got like 1.5 vibrato oscillations to like each note in the coloratura, it can sound really wonky and be really weird.
Damn.
So you kind of have to, for those things, like if you're singing Handel, for example, Handel has a ton of coloratura passages. You're just running all over the place, just holding a vowel and just going all over your vocal range with it. If the conductor is like trying to go way faster than you can physically do it, or too slow based on your vibrato speed, it becomes such a mess. And so that's something where like you really need to get the tempos
It's just
right.
something go and be like, oh, I didn't realize that was what my voice was going to do.
Yep, yep. And I had an experience. I was doing a Messiah, which is Handel, and even the bass parts have a lot of that coloratura in it. And the conductor took a very different tempo during the performance than we had rehearsed, and I did not sing it as well as I can sing it
No.
because I'm adjusting on the fly in front of 3,000 people.
I suppose that's the thing in opera. You can't. It's not accustomed to improv.
Not a whole lot of improv in opera. No, it's
Uh,
it's very 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 heavily rehearsed. Um, Once it's completely in your muscle memory, the fun thing about performances is once everyone's really comfortable, there are always like little nuances in the acting and stuff like that that change from show to show, and you have moments here and someone forgets a prop and like you have to make up stuff on the spot. Like there's never a perfect show. But like musically, it is so dialed. Like you do not deviate from the plan musically.
but does that mean then that the numerous weeks and months of rehearsing these operas, but then after you're done with them, are they just still burned in your head? Like, do you know Don Giovanni off by heart by now?
I did Giovanni 2.5 years ago, and I could probably almost sing the whole thing by heart right now.
Is that a burden or a blessing?
Well, if you like the role and you like the music, it's a blessing. And Giovanni, I loved, I love.
Okay,
So
good.
I'll be walking around my house and like some of the lines from the dialogue will just like I'll just start singing them.
Okay,
I'll be like, making my breakfast and just like spouting off some Italian because I just love that show so much.
fair enough. Well, I mean, you performed in many operas over the years, including and this year you're still performing because
Hmm.
you were clean in and the King of Egypt in Aida, if I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah, this year was a lot because I finished up my time at Arizona Opera as a studio artist, kind of like a
Mm.
hired gun for a couple years for them, doing the
Oh,
roles they
cool.
needed me to do. So I did 5 roles with them on the main stage, and
Wow.
this year was Colline in La Boheme, he's the philosopher of the Four Bohemians. It's great,
Mm.
such a fun role. And then I did, King of Egypt in Aida with them. And then I went to Aspen and I did Colline again in another production of Bohème.
Oh,
And
damn.
I did Don Alfonso in Così fan tutte, which I mentioned a little while ago was one of those roles
Yeah.
I did in my undergrad. So I came back to it 8 years later at a much higher level,
I
program.
mean, that's something I was going to ask. Was like, is it? Do you still remember in the early days, like how you performed, and like, like when performing now, it's just like, oh, I don't need to do what I did then, or is it still kind of in there, like the nerves?
Nerves, I find nerves are just directly related to how prepared you are for opera. I always find that. So I have colleagues that will cram last minute and they'll get it done. They'll cram the music and they'll show up and they'll be all right, but they're like they're nervous wrecks the whole time.
Oh,
Whereas like as soon as I get an assignment, I'm studying it. So like I remember I got assigned King of Egypt for Arizona Opera. It must have been 8 months before the performance, and I learned it 6 months before
wow.
because then I can just show up and I just know it, and it's already in the muscle memory, and I don't have to worry,
Oh
about the
God,
conductor and the director and my colleagues and this and that. Whereas like if I were, I'd be such a mess if I were like trying to cram music. I know people who have like crammed music in like on the flight to a production.
really? I mean, because you just remind me because it's like I understand the type of people that you're, which I do love and respect. Like because it's the same thing when I did Shakespeare. It's just like I was not someone who over prepared. I was someone who did sort of learn the lines as I went by. But then someone would come in and be like, "No, I know As You Like It off by heart." I'm just thinking like, "Oh, you just okay, you overachiever, fine." It's like I respect it because it's just like,
Try
no, you
hard.
studied. That's the deal.
Yeah. No, I would never want to do what these colleagues do, but I admire that they can pack it in so fast because I simply can't memorize things that fast.
I mean,
Like my brain,
has there ever been a time you have had to rush it?
what's the fastest I've had to learn something? Hmm. You know, the fastest I ever had to learn something was probably that role where I cried when I looked at the score.
Oh,
Because for undergrad, how we did it. So I went to James Madison University in Virginia. It's a great music school. I love that school. Go Dukes, baby. Um,
high praise to them.
yeah, for sure. Great experience there. For Bartolo for this role and for how JMU does it, you come in the fall and you audition for the operas in the fall. So the fall production is only 2.5 months after auditions, and so it's like you audition and you get cast, and then from casting until whenever, like some number of weeks, you have to learn your role. And if it's a big role like that one, all in Italian, like I just lived with my score for
Mm.
6 weeks. I slept with it every break between classes. I was studying it. Every time I was in the car, I was listening to recordings of it because like there's just no way to pack in that much material without
Yeah,
like really living and breathing it. And it was a nightmare. I almost quit opera after that because it was like so
it was a
intense
lot.
to learn it. Yeah, that was my first big role, and it's a very big role.
Mm. But fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, that first big role that probably put a lot of pressure to get it all right and all done.
Yes. Yes. Big time.
So I mean, knowing that with a lot of productions you've had to do, you do have to cram a lot of the score in your head, and like I say, you do remember quite a lot. Is there one in there where you are just sick of it because you've had to have it done it so many times?
Um, I don't think I'm there yet with any of them because
Oh, good.
the show I've done most is La Boheme Puccini,
Mm,
and I've done the show 5 times now, I think. And I've done Colline 3 times. I did like chorus for it in my master's degree with a little company in LA. Then I
mm.
sang Chonard, which is another role in the show. And then I started singing Collines, and I've sung Colline since. But I mean, that music still kicks me in the gut every time. Like, I just love the music from that show.
Okay.
And I've only done a few repeats on roles so far. So like, there's really none that I'm sick of yet.
But Colleen so far looks to be a favorite of a role that you like.
I love that role, and it's also just a great role for a young bass voice because the characters are supposed to be quite young. When typically the basses in shows are supposed to be old,
Fair
or
enough. Yeah.
or villains, but typically old, almost always old. So Colline is kind of this unusual character where it's written for like a guy probably in his like early 20s, but it's written for a proper bass voice.
Mm,
So in the big houses like the Metropolitan Opera and Lyric Opera of Chicago, you'll typically have an older, mature bass singing it because
yeah.
you need that
Well,
kind of
they're
voice.
the only ones that can hit those notes.
Yeah, with the power and the size of the house and so on and so forth. But it's a great role for. I mean, I'm 32, and it's a great role for me in a certain sized space, basically.
But is there a thing, especially with Colleen, just because you have done it multiple times, but also with different productions, has the conductor of each one wanted you to do Colleen differently, even though you've done it?
Yes.
So
Yeah. So
it's just
I
conflicting
adjust.
versions, just like, ugh, what do you want me to do it?
Dude, that's the opera world in a nutshell. As a young singer, you're getting. I mean, you'll go from one vocal coaching where this expert coach insists you do something exactly this way, and this is how Puccini would have wanted it, and blah blah blah. And
Mm,
the next hour you go to your next coaching, and they say something completely different.
that's
And so
stupid.
like
Don't do that. Do this.
yes, so like little part of navigating being a young artist is figuring out how to like give respect to all these coaches that like
Mm,
you want to have a good working relationship with, and also figure out how to like pick what you want from each one.
mm.
And that's a very, very difficult balance to strike because every
Yes, I
coach
imagine it's
pretty
difficult to
much every
be difficult to like everybody.
Yeah, and you just can't use all the suggestions. If someone says, hold this note for this long on this fermata, and the next coach says, hold it half that long, you got to pick one, or you got to go in the middle somewhere. Really, you've got to do what you think is best at the end of the day with all the information at hand. And coaches do really like it when singers have opinions. Even a coach that's really hard on you. Typically, I find they like it when you will like push back against them a little bit, as opposed to just being like a clean slate.
But it did pay off because if anybody knows you, which hopefully they do, then otherwise this is a weird interview for you to just jump on. They'll see YouTube where you do voice analysis and voice coaching, where you analyze each and every song that you can. Multiple Disney and Has-Been hotels I've seen on there as well, which I both love for that one. But it's like when doing those musical analysis, do you hark back to your training as a conductor, or not as a conductor, as in the opera days, like, okay, this is what they told me then, this is what I'm going to apply to this?
It's a little different because the coaching for opera is so niche and specific to that genre. So like when you're working on an aria, for example, let's say I'm working on De Vieni alla Finestra, which is a Don Giovanni little short aria in Act 2. This beautiful little serenade. We have so many recordings of like great conductors and singers to base off of. And so coaches are going to be looking for this tiny thing from one recording versus this tiny thing from another recording versus this tiny thing that they want you to do that they think will fit with your voice. And so it's incredibly specific. And I go into really deep detail on my analysis videos, but imagine if I spent an hour on like one phrase that a singer did from a Has-Been Hotel song. Let's say Charlie Morningstar's like first lines in Happy Day in Hell, and I spend a whole hour just breaking that down.
I mean, could you do that? Is that the kind of thing trained that you was like? It was like, oh my god, that's what it's like.
That's how. No, I mean, I don't think I could do it for that because I don't have Charlie to sing back at me each time, making tiny little tweaks and stuff. But that's the level of detail. Like that's how deep you dig down with a coach. Like I have spent full coachings on single phrases before in AVA, in Academy of Vocal Arts.
Damn, that is insane. Especially just the notion of just you saying, "Oh no, Puccini and Mozart would want to this," and I imagine you're just like, "Yeah, well, they've been dead for about 300 years. I don't think I know what they want."
Yeah, we really don't actually know for sure. Like whatever they wrote in the music, like that's what we got,
But I mean, because I've watched your YouTube for years. You've done so great on it with the analysis and that, which I absolutely love. Is there, when looking for certain songs, is it just the viewers pick it for you, or is there sort of like a notion of like, okay, because it does tend to be more musical, which is absolutely fair enough. That's where the best singers are in terms of like performing wise. Is there sort of like a vetting list that you have, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do now, or is there just sort of I get what I get?
Yeah, it's a 100% a combination of what I think I'll enjoy and what I think will be interesting to analyze, and what I think the audience will enjoy.
Fair enough.
That's where I've arrived. It used to be I'd do a lot more of just kind of what I was interested in, and I would also throw some like direct like requests in. Now it's like I look at all the requests, I read the comments, everything in the Discord, but if someone's requesting a song that I have absolutely no interest in talking about, I'm not going to do it. I'm really trying to find what I think, because then if I like the song, I will get so animated, and the analysis will be way more fun, and you can tell immediately if I'm like really into something. I become the huge music loving nerd that I am, and so I try to do as many videos like that as I can that will also perform well. And I do break the mold occasionally. Like I'm always going to make videos for like the Bass Gang, and like those videos, they'll get a few thousand views, but they're not getting hundreds of thousands like the Has-Been videos or Wicked or Dimash or stuff like that. But I'll do them anyway because I love doing them, and I know a certain subset of people loves watching those analysis videos.
No, I get it entirely. There is sort of a weird sort of combination of just like doing what's popular, but also making sure doing what you like as well. Because if it's just anything, especially because basically I was about to say, you reacting to yourself with you coordinating the music is something to watch, but it's still something like, Yeah, you know how this works. You did it. You know?
Yeah, I did exactly. Right, right. Like I would, and I enjoy breaking it down because I like talking about the bass gang. I think it's
Yeah.
cool. But like, yeah, it's a it's a dance, and it's constant trying to figure out what to do and who's gonna like what, you know.
Nah. Well, we'll get to bass gang in a second, but it's just
Great.
like, I mean, like a lot of singer songwriters, which was COVID hit, which meant you performed in COVID, which, if anyone doesn't remember, meant that some reason every single singer songwriter in 2020 and 2021 had to learn sea shanties, which, as a bass
Exactly.
singer, brought you a lot into the frame, which was just, I mean, I never had a chance to ask anyone this, but it's just like, did you have any idea of like why they were so popular, or is it just an actual just like, oh, okay, they're just there now?
Yeah, no, I can give you the ground zero on that because I wasn't in that initial bubble. I was kind of like because I was never super into TikTok, and that's really where it started taking off. But like Bobby and Luke Taylor and Johnny Stewart, like all the guys in the Wellerman, and like I'm obviously good friends with all those guys now, and I was there with them as it was happening, like kind of one step removed. I did like a couple shanties, but no, that was an absolutely crazy phenomenon. I don't think anyone knows why and how it came up, but it went from like no one's thinking about shanties. There's the Longest Johns, and they're the group that does shanties, but no one had
Yeah.
heard of them until the shanties blew up, right? And then it goes from that to like Bobby and Luke and Johnny like popping up on the Colbert Show for like a TikTok
Yeah,
they
just
made
like, oh,
like overnight. It's like what is happening? And then what's crazy to me is that like it wasn't like a super fast TikTok trend. Like they're still popular. Like shanties are now a viable genre. Like they're not like mainstream pop, but like a lot of people listen to like that kind of folk shanty stuff now. And then there's the North Sea trend that
yeah,
popped up.
that's still weirding me out. Just like,
Yeah,
okay, like what's
where it's Bobby's version of Hoist the Colors, and that just becomes the video that people put on all these ships in the North Sea, and that becomes like the biggest viral trend of like 2022 or whatever it was.
and you're just there, just being like, what is this?
Yeah, like that sound, Bobby's sound was used like it totaled like 13 billion plays on TikTok.
Oh my god!
It was
I
used
imagine he must have had quite a bit of a big head after that.
honestly, those respect to those guys, they like stayed so chill, and they were just like, yeah, we're just kind of along for the ride. Like no one knew this was gonna happen. They were like, yeah, we were geniuses, and we saw the trend coming, and whatever. Yeah, but that sound was used in like millions of TikToks.
But is that kind of weird? Because, like, I mean, thanks to the sort of sea shanties and things, bass singers sort of came into the mainstream world essentially. Because then everyone was like, "Oh, I know these guys." Like, did you? I know you were out of that, but did you sort of like see like that sort of rise in bass singer popularity after COVID?
Yeah, I mean, there's just like so many more eyeballs on bass singers.
Yeah.
Eyeballs, like they're like just in a way that the only bass singers you heard before that was like an Avi Kaplan in Pentatonics
Mm,
or some country singers,
yeah.
and that
Or
was kind
like,
of it.
or yeah,
Like
like Jeff Castellucci in voice play. Yeah.
Jeff, yeah, the other big acapella too. But even voice playing like Home Free compared to Pentatonics is still quite niche.
Yeah,
Pentatonics is
that's true.
like the only like real like celebrity acapella group basically. But yeah,
That
but like
yeah, that makes sense.
you know what I mean? So like acapella in general gave a little bit of a kick to bass singers, especially with Avi, just because Pentatonics blew up so crazily. Tim Faust, Jeff Castellucci, they're all adding to it, and then the sea shanties come along, and then it's like then you have videos of bass singers regularly getting like millions of views on short
I,
form content.
I mean, I know you said you weren't big on TikTok then, but was there a notion of like you wanting to join in on that as soon as it came out?
I think I made a couple sea shanty TikToks. My thing was more I would just sing. I mean, like I got my following singing stuff in the stairwell, but it often wasn't sea shanties. It was just like other songs I felt like singing, like Feeling Good or Misty Mountains or Poor Wayfaring Stranger. So I never really hopped on the sea shanty vibe. I probably should have if I really wanted to like
No, but
get
I
a
do
following in
love
that
the
time period.
no, but to be fair, I do love that even then because you did the one. the Sea Change one good. One other song that I've heard almost every single bass singer do, and I do love it, is the Misty Mountains from The Hobbit.
Oh, that is just that's like the bass singer national anthem.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
like, even then, it's just like, are there some bass songs like that one where you're just like, oh, I've got to do it, but I've got to do it my own way. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, how do I do it my own way? You know?
Yeah. That one, yeah, I mean, yes, that question. I mean, I would say the only one I eventually got sick of hearing was Hoist the Colors.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
there was a reason that like, the Bass Gang hasn't made a cover of it yet or because
Really, it's because you don't want to do it.
because there's like so many, it's been done so much, um but yeah, I think if you were to approach a song like that, you would want to take it and do it a little differently, right? And make it your own. So it's not the exact, because it's easy to do what someone else has done before. And the thing about that is that with these songs, they would be successful. We could do a Misty or a Hoist the Colors or a whatever, just like you've heard it a million times, and people would still eat it up, just because
Yeah.
it's a new ensemble of bass singers doing it, right?
Well, not just
Um,
that, it's you doing the song that that a lot of people know. It's you doing Hoist the Cars, which is like, oh my god, I get to see your take on it now.
right, right. And even just because it's a different voice, people find that interesting enough, right?
Yeah,
Which
but
is
I mean,
really cool.
another thing that not only is it stuff like that, it's also Disney covers, which is what
Hmm.
everyone wants to get into. I mean, particularly like you said, you'll love Beauty and the Beast, especially with Gaston, which makes
Yeah.
Space Gang, which I saw you in. It's just
Yes.
like,
Yes.
is there a love of sort of like Disney songs, but also villain songs for the bases?
Oh yeah. Of course. Of course. I mean, and in Disney, like most things, like most of the villains are lower voiced people.
Yeah.
You've got like Jafar is like a bass. At least his speaking voice is very bassy. You've
Mm.
got like Shere Khan, who's a
Yeah.
bass, who literally sings down to a low C in Jungle Book, which is awesome. And Gaston's more of a baritone, but like a lower, like very masculine sound, right? And yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean
what's the
we had so much fun doing those Disney covers with the bass
well,
gang. So much
what's another
fun.
good one that most people do? I mean, Claude Frodo in Hunchback with Hellfire. That's a good
That's
bass
a
one as
great,
well.
yeah, that's a great one too. Yeah, I mean, like shout out to Disney for writing like these huge songs for bass voices too.
But is there sort of a weird expectation that as a bass, your roles are primarily only going to be villains?
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's typically old or villain or both. That's
Do
pretty
you,
much,
I
you
mean,
know.
do you like the villains?
I do. I love the villains. I love playing villains. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like Don Giovanni is like such a psychopath, and he's so fun to portray on stage. Like
Fair enough. You
really,
get to have fun. Yeah.
you get to be real crazy. Yeah, and it's like totally fine. It's right. It's lined up with character. It's also sometimes bases are like father figures, or they can be like there's like Zoroastro in the Magic Flute, who I've done before, who's like a high priest, good guy, right? So you occasionally get that, but he's old, supposed to be old. So it's either old or villain or both, pretty much.
I know, but sounds like you love doing the villain roles, which is
Love the
fantastic.
villain roles. Yeah, love it.
I mean, trying to think. I mean, you have done the hero roles, haven't you? You have been the hero.
Have I ever been the hero in I mean Figaro
Oh well,
is
yeah, yeah.
is a leading bass. I mean, it's not like a typical hero you'd think of, but he is like the lead, you
He's
know,
the main guy, so
he's the
yeah.
main guy, he's a good guy. Which is very unusual to do that.
That is actually, especially in opera. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever done like a proper hero character. I really don't think I have.
Would you want to?
Sure. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to do if there's a
I
role
mean,
written for it.
is there any particular role which you have thought to yourself, oh, I would love to do it one day?
For heroes, no. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's like really written for my voice type. But like a devil character, for sure. Like Mephistopheles in Faust. It's probably my top choice for opera roles I haven't done. Yeah,
That's insane.
that'd be
That
sick.
sounds
When you
fun.
get a chance, you got to look up Samuel Ramey singing some Mephistopheles.
I will look that up.
It'll
Sounds good.
blow your mind. Yeah, so cool.
I mean, is that another thing as well? Like, because I imagine friends and family know that at the basic core of everything else was Julia, you are based an opera singer.
Hmm.
So is there sort of the expectation of like with most operas, you know you know exactly what's going to happen. You know the whole thing inside and out. Like they expect you to be like, okay, you're proficient in opera.
So if could you repeat the first part of the question again?
Like, do friends and family like expect you to sort of like know everything about operas and opera lifestyle?
Gotcha. Yeah. It's just funny, and I mean, like, I have found this way out. I found this out more recently. Is I am more similar to other opera singers in that, like, I spend a lot of time studying opera and performing it, but not a whole lot of listening outside of what I've studied. So there's like so many operas that I have not seen and don't know much about, like famous operas that I have not seen and like don't really know much
Yeah,
about. But as far as like the lifestyle and what it takes to be an opera singer and the training and the diction and all that, like I've absolutely got that in the bag for all the holiday conversations, that happen every year.
not big on Gilbert and Sullivan. I take it that's sort of like niche opera.
Yeah. So Gilbert and Sullivan. That's funny you bring this up. Gilbert and Sullivan is operetta or light
Yeah,
opera.
not actual opera as I've learned, but
Right.
just
But it's closer than like musical theater, for example, because at least like
mm,
Gilbert and Sullivan, you're still singing with operatic technique, very much so. You might add a little bit of like that musical theater, like forward placement kind of stuff to it. The big difference is that there's actual dialogue in those, whereas in opera, all the
yeah,
dialogue is sung. But in Gilbert and Sullivan and in operetta, the dialogue is spoken. That's like really and just like the general feeling of the music, like Gilbert and Sullivan is like they're just comedic geniuses, right? And they write this
yeah,
fun, buoyant, bouncy music. It's not Mimi dying at the end of La Boheme. It's very different as far as feeling, but it's great stuff. I mean, Gilbert and Sullivan. We in undergrad at JMU, the fall production was always opera, like traditional, like grand opera, and the
yeah.
spring production was always Gilbert and Sullivan.
Oh,
And
really?
so yeah, so I sang the Mikado when I was there,
Oh, yeah.
which was really fun. And I sang this was not Gilbert and Sullivan, but we did the Merry Widow, which is an operetta, and I
Uh,
sang a little role in that. And then they did HMS Pinafore, which I was not in. I was doing something else, but they did that. So they JMU had a nice balance of like the grand opera and the operetta. And
no, I appreciate that. Like even in like the best opera schools out there, like the acknowledgement of Gilbert Sullivan as like an opera, like like low common now, the opera music that a lot of
yeah,
people know.
well,
Is
it's that kind of stuff is so fun, and it's more relatable to most people.
I
So it's
mean,
really popular. It's popular.
is it nice and relaxing to sort of do something like that where it's just like a bit more fun and loose?
Yes, there's definitely less pressure on those shows,
Yeah.
and they're in English. So like if you're an English speaker, that
That,
that
that, that imagine helps.
that makes it feel more natural. A little less preparation time, easier to memorize, that sort of thing.
I mean, as someone who has dabbled in both in terms of opera and musical theatre, I mean, I know it's a tough one to ask you, but do you prefer one to the other in terms of performing it?
So I really, to be honest, have not performed much musical theater.
Really?
Again, because there just aren't roles for basses. Yeah, so I do a lot of musical theater analysis on the channel, but I really have not performed much. I mean, like AVA, 100% opera school.
Mm,
The closest I've done to musical theater really is like those operetta shows, like those light opera shows.
really?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever even done like a proper musical. Maybe because I didn't do it in high school. I was not really a theater kid in high school. Um,
Which is insane, just to have like immediately like not be a theatre kid at all, and then
yeah,
snap track into opera and Disney. It's just like
if
okay,
anyone, no one knew I could sing anything until I sang. I sang at this high school talent show my senior year. But like before that, if someone had a bingo card, like me being a professional musical artist would have not been on anyone's radar. Not mine either. I mean, I had no intention of it. Just kind of.
I imagine you must have freaked your friends out when you at that show, just you seeing and then just going, what?
Oh, people lost their minds.
What's this?
I won. I won that talent contest. People were
Well
like,
done.
"What?" I went out there in like my track suit, and I was wearing like my track medals, and sang this operatic song, with no training whatsoever, and people were like, "This is like witchcraft. Like,
It's like, God
why,
damn it.
why and how can this guy sing? It makes no sense. He's like the
Uh,
sport guy."
yeah. You actually literally did a High School Musical in that sort of way. Like you
Pretty
went from
much,
sport to musical.
yeah. It's like the Troy Bolton, right?
I didn't even think about it. It's just like, oh
comes
my
off
God,
the comes off the track to sing the talent show. Yeah, no, it was real. That's real.
damn. Well, I mean, so you said you haven't done any musical theatre. I mean, is there a role that you could think of that would be like, you know what? If I could have that role, I would do it.
I think there's a lot of, I mean, maybe Gaston. I could probably sing that. It's for a little bit higher than my voice type is, but with my training now, I could sing it. I'm sure I could sing it, and that'll be a blast. I would just need heels because I'm only 5'9", so I need to get some platforms.
Yeah, what do you mean you can't sing? You did do Gaston. I've heard you in it.
And I was wearing boots, baby. tromping around wearing boots.
To be fair, actually, that's kind of fitting for the role of Gaston to wear like sort
Yeah,
of
I
like
literally wore like my proper cowboy boots in this tavern in the Czech Republic. It was great. I have such fond memories of that. But yeah, Gaston's a role I'd love to do. I guess the Beast too. I think the
Oh
Beast
really?
is written for a lower voice. Yeah, in Beauty and the
Oh,
Beast.
no.
I wish. I mean, I would say Hades in Hadestown, but I can't sing that low, which is
Oh, I mean,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, the original singer of that, who I cannot for
Pat
the life of me remember his name.
Patrick
Yeah, like
Page,
I mean that dude. Oh, like,
low G's all
it's just
day.
like what the hell was that?
It's freaky. It's freaky low, and it's crazy that like it's written for that voice. Like almost no one has that range day to day. Almost no one. Like
Isn't
not
that
even
funny
not
that
not
people
even
send you stuff like that and you think like, oh, yeah, you could do that. I'm not, and you're just like, no, I can't. Like, what are you talking
I
about?
could, I could kind of fake it. I could like chest fry those super low notes, which it's microphone. You have a microphone in musical theater, so But like Patrick Page, it's a different kind of voice. It's like it's really gravelly and smoky, and like that's just not the kind of bass voice I have. Mine is higher and cleaner and more lyrical.
Yeah,
His is like it is just in the basement all the time.
yeah. His makes the speakers rumble, which I mean, most bass players do, but
Yeah,
like, his one is just like, okay, like my ears
yeah,
are bleeding now because of that. You know?
yeah. There's bass, and then there's what you'd call an octavist.
Mm.
In choral repertoire, that would be the word for it. Like if Patrick Page sang choir music, he'd be called an octavist because he can sing down. If you can sing like a G1, a contra G in chest voice all the time, you're a freak. Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I highly recommend anyone who doesn't know who we're talking about, go listen to Hades Town soundtrack, or in a vein as we've said before, go listen to Hell of a Boss and listen to the final episode where he plays Satan,
Yes,
where
listen to
you
my analysis of it. I freak out about his voice. It's
yes,
great.
you did it. Where it's just like it is because you don't think about it, but it's like when he sings, it's just like, oh, that's you. Oh God, that is you. It's like, oh,
It's such an iconic voice. So iconic.
I love it. All right. Well, I mean, we've talked for quite a while, and hopefully we might have you for as much as the next part of the show as we can do, because we've skirted around bass gang and things, which I do want to talk about just yet. I wanted to focus this one on the opera stuff because
Yeah.
let's be honest, you're an opera singer. I can't just not talk about it.
Yeah.
But we'll have a 5 minute break, and then we will go more into the bass gang and also Greek mythology stuff because people will want to know about the
Yes.
certain
Yes.
musicals that you've been doing and getting
Uh-huh.
involved with on YouTube as well. So, guys, we're going to go to a small advert break now for about 5 minutes. So tune in then, and I will see you guys in a bit. Take care. Hey guys, welcome back. We are back from the break with LOL star Chris Smith. I am Chris Smith, and we still have the lovely opera singer, YouTuber, composer, everything else. That is Peter Barber. Lovely to see you're still here, sir.
Happy to be here.
All right, so we teased them a little bit, and I know this is the bit that everyone wants to talk about, which is that you are part of a quartet. You're part of a band named Bass Gang with Bobby Bass, Tommy P, and Molan Ayman, the four of you together. So let's get into this. What brought you all together?
Yeah. So it's funny. I just came to the realization recently, like we are actually a boy band, and like kind of a professional boy band at this point with like,
Yeah.
how well it's doing, which is so funny. I never thought of us like that, but we kind of are. Yeah, Bass Gang formed in early 2021 through a Discord server called the Bass Singing Nation, which was started by Tommy P. This is Tommy P's bass Discord server. And
Mm.
we all got promoted to ambassadors of the group by the admins because we were each making our own solo stuff and we were like, starting to get noticed in this tiny little bass community.
Mm.
And at some point in there, I just tagged the three of them. I have the screenshot somewhere. It was just like, hey guys, when are we doing a song together? And then it was kind of a joke. And then immediately Marwan made a chat where we started talking and we started planning out our first project, which ended up being May the Bass Be With You, Volume 1, which was a
Yeah.
name I just threw out there for fun. The Bass Gang was a name I just threw out there for fun. And they both just stuck. And we did that first EP together, and we just it was a big logistical nightmare, but we had so much fun working on it together, and we clearly had a really good vibe as the group. The EP performed, extremely well, given it was our first projects we ever released, and we just started going from there. And then we didn't even have the channel at that point. We didn't start the YouTube channel until Emperor's New Clothes the next Halloween.
Well, I
Um,
mean, it says a lot because even when you did start on YouTube, you weren't just like, oh, I'm gonna just have these little four people just go on there. You came in hard into like the collaboration, the songs that you did, where it's just like they went massive overnight in terms of the success that you had.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Hide and Seek is our still our by views our most popular video ever, and that was like one of the first. It's like one of the first ones we did. I think that was just after Volume 2. So that's in like, still kind of the first phase of Bass Gang. And yeah, bringing on like Jonathan Young and Elliot and Melinda and Column for Volume 2 was incredible. Yeah, no, we really we started, there was clearly a market for people who wanted to see like these kind of big epic bass voice arrangements of stuff. And we were there to fill that. And it's grown like crazy. It's grown to a point none of us really imagined when we started it.
Well, like you said, you're a professional boy band now. You've had
Yeah,
you have four EPs now, and over I think 30 million hits on Spotify alone, which is
yeah,
absolutely
yeah, something
insane
like that.
now.
Yeah, crazy. Hey, the numbers are. Yeah, we have like we've been getting something like I don't know 600, 700,000 streams on Spotify a month just on Spotify. So if you go to YouTube Music, it's about twice that much, and then
Mm.
YouTube Views is probably similar. So it's like, some single digit number of millions of plays per month for the Bass Gang. It's insane.
I mean, were you prepared of being of like? I mean, because no one can anticipate the kind of popularity that would be like that. But was there like a genuine like, oh my god, this has happened, or was like a, oh wow, this is just like, what was? How did you feel like when you put those videos and those
Yeah,
songs out there? It's just like how well you were responded.
I think we were all confident in the stuff we were making, even the early stuff, and like the quality has gone up so much since then. But we were already, starting to make a name for ourselves as solo creators, and then we all came together for this collaboration. So for us, it just felt like a kind of little like bass super group. And so
Yeah.
we were confident it was going to do somewhat well. We didn't know how well. If you just go as simply as just like combining some of our numbers together, it's like, well, we're going to get some viewership, right?
Yeah.
I think when I think when we released Hide and Seek, that was when we were like, oh wow, there's like a real that because that really popped off. That video went like crazy with
With Lauren Paley.
with Lauren Paley. Exactly. I think it has like 1.6 million on YouTube now. And so that was a moment for us where we were like, okay, so if we have a good arrangement, and I think for that one we finally hired Ed Boyer to do our mixing, and we have a good video. Like if we nail all these things, then we can really hit some solid popularity.
I mean, because the thing, I mean, you say difficulties. You did have a lot of difficulties in the sense that also for a lot of people who probably didn't know, for the first two, 3 years of your band, you weren't actually in the same room. It
Yeah,
was all by Discord and just like sort of. interacting with each other separately and doing these collabs together. So like, was it how difficult was it to do the sort of vocal arrangements when you're not all in the same room?
Very difficult to figure out and coordinate. And I'll run you through how we do it. And also, by the way, that's still how we do it. Aside from Volume 3, which was you've seen, we did at least three of us were in person. And our
Yeah,
next
like we
EP,
got most of you.
yeah, yeah. And our next EP, we're all going to Egypt in February to film together. So that's when
Cool.
we'll be together again. But everything else you see, like Your Idol and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, If I Had a Heart, like all these things since the Czech Republic have all been back to doing it virtually. So here's how we do it. We all pick songs. Usually we kind of vote on it at the end of the day. It's really up to the person who's arranging it. Person arranges the song, creates an entire vocal demo by themselves. So they sing all the parts by themselves and create like I'll say the Peter demo version. Okay. And then I go through and I figure out exactly what parts I want each of the other guys to sing. And then I export those parts to them. They then record those exact parts, send them back to me. I get everything like tuned and edited and lined up really nicely. And then we send all of those audio tracks to our mixing engineer, Ed Boyer. And then he sends those back, and then we have a mix. We get a max, then we get the master, no problem. For the video, it's Marwan. Marwan pretty much always handles our video editing. And so Marwan will create like some kind of storyboard, and whoever did the audio arrangement will export specific clips from people's specific parts that we want to record to video. And then there's specific filming instructions, like record at this frame rate and record with this lighting from this angle, whether it's like a headshot or a mid shot, or sometimes we do a full body. It's almost always green screen.
Mm.
When we then send all those videos to Marwan, and then Marwan goes through and pieces everything together. Finally, we put that video together with the final master, and we've got our final product. But like I tell people, our Google Drive is like the eighth wonder of the world. It's like thousands of folders, perfectly organized, because
Wow.
everything we've ever done is in that Google Drive for the last 4.5 years plus.
Oh my! I can't even imagine how much memory is on that thing. Just
Yeah,
like how much is
yeah,
there.
yeah. It's like terabytes. Yeah,
So
it's
okay, so the way you do it, which I love that. Even then, you still do it. How long then would you say a song takes from start to finish?
yeah. It really depends on the vocal arrangement, and then man, that's really the biggest factor, because even if a video is more or less complex, Marwan pretty much will get it done in about a week for the video. But the vocal arrangement sometimes, like Your Idol, was much more straightforward, for example, because we had JP Warner, who worked on Epic the Musical, and
Oh yeah.
actually JP's Christmas album is coming out tonight, y'all, and I'm on it with
Oh really?
it's
Oh
me, JP, and Luke Holt do We Three Kings together.
oh my
So
god! That
that's dropping
what
at
a trio
midnight. That's
there.
dropping at midnight tonight. Y'all go. Yeah, tons of people from the Epic cast are in there. Like Talia's on it. Man, a bunch of people. I think Anna Lee is on it. Stephen Dooky's on it. Like all like Mason Olszewski's on it. Like all these people from Epic are on that Christmas album. So that's cool. Anyway, JP produced back off the tangent. JP produced the backing track for Your Idol, made this incredible, just like elevated version of the original backing track, all his own samples and his own everything. He's such a good producer. Then he mixed and mastered everything for us as well, because Ed Boyer is like the king of acapella mixing, but we used JP because it was much more like K-pop and like wall of sound driven.
Yeah.
The vocal arrangement was much more simple. It was like I recorded the whole thing in one day in the booth, and then got the vocals edited for the guys for the demo all in the same day. It was like 8 or 10 hours, but all in the same day, as opposed to an arrangement like Boulevard, or even another level like Hide and Seek, or some of
Mm.
these like huge Marwan arrangements where it's like we're all recording like 50 tracks, and it's like crazy complicated, and you have to split it up over like 3 or 4 recording sessions, and you've got to have your freakiest low notes and your squealiest high notes to cover like everything. I mean, those can take a while. I mean, it could take us all like months collectively to get all that together, you know.
I mean, was hide and seek the longest? Just because, like, I mean, just the editing as well. There was a lot of overlapping in that.
Yeah. What was the longest? Marwan's arrangements typically take a while. Valhalla Calling was a really big vocal arrangement.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Um, yeah, it's usually Marwan and Tommy. They have like the big, crazy vocal wall of sound arrangements that just take forever. But let me see if I can give you like a ballpark on how long it really takes. So we'll have a meeting. We'll figure out. We'll figure out who's doing what. Let's say I start arranging something immediately, and we'll say, okay, arrangement needs to be done in a month. So this is from like concept to completion. I'll try to walk you through that what that looks like. So let's say I finish the arrangement in a month, and then we say, okay, now everyone has 2 weeks to record everything. Okay, so then 2 weeks later that comes in, and then that goes off to mixing and mastering, and then I'll put together some kind of Frankenstein demo for the video, and we'll say, okay, now you have 2 more weeks to shoot the video for it. So that puts us to 2 months total.
Yeah.
And then usually we'll put another 2 weeks after that, maybe even a month after that, just in case deadlines get pushed back, which they almost always do. And so Marwan has enough time to get the video edited in time, and so we have enough time to get everything to distribution services in time before the music video drops, because like you got to get the copyright licenses for cover songs and all this stuff. So I would say typically from like first like committing to the idea of a song to final music video and master out on streaming is probably like 3 months or
That
so.
sounds that sounds about right. Given the amount of work that all four of you put in, that's pretty
Yeah.
fast.
And
So
we really like put a lot of time and care and attention into all our songs. It has never ever been like a cash grab where we're like, let's just bust something out really fast to catch a trend. Like even like the most trendy thing we've ever done is Your Idol, and we're still 3.5 months late to that movie coming out.
you're never too late for that one.
Like Hide and Seek, our biggest video that was a year, basically a year after the trend. Valhalla Calling, basically a year after the trend.
Oh God, yeah.
But we spend so much time and care with our songs, and it's working. This model's working. We believe like if we just build up a big enough discography of like really cool, interesting stuff, it's gonna be evergreen. Because like no one's doing arrangements like the Bass Gang. No one.
No,
No.
which I want to talk about just because your arrangements of what you pick, like I mean, yeah, you've done some strange things from Blue Christmas and Arabian Nights to doing Mad World and Centuries by Fall Out Boy, which I still
Yeah.
love that, which is insane. But it's like you said, the arrangements like each one of you picks a song
hmm
they you want to put forward and be like, guys, I want to do this. Do you know them well enough now where you're like you kind of know what kind of vibe or what kind of genre each one is gonna pick?
I know what the arrangements are gonna feel like in a way. Um, and it's great that each of us has a very like unique approach to how we do it. As far as genre, I mean that changes depending on what we're going for. Especially with the EPs. Like for the EPs, we always pick some kind of theme.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be super specific. Like Volume 2, for example, was just kind of like alternative rock. It
Mm.
wasn't like Disney songs like we did for Volume 3. But
Yeah,
there's
but
always
Volume 3 was pure
it
Disney.
was pure Disney, and Volume 1 was just Billie Eilish. So we'll have a theme. We'll have like a through line. And so the arrangement, is it depends a lot on that, like what genres are covering, and then each person has their own approach to that genre, essentially.
Has there ever been a song that either you or one or one of the others has sort of put out there that just keeps being rejected because you just don't want to do it?
Um, I would say the songs like "Hoist the Colors" have been put forth from someone before. We're just like, maybe, but no
No.
for now. No for now. Yeah, only that kind of stuff. And then there have definitely been songs that people have put forward that were like we don't think this will work for this particular project. I'm not sure I could name any of those because they would have been in some meeting in the vault
I
from
mean,
years
is it
ago.
just a thing where it's just like people think, oh, you can make a bass cover of anything?
I'd say you probably can just about anything, but some will definitely work better than others, you know.
Yeah. I imagine you'll be tested by then. In the future, when you find one, they'll be like, "Okay, guess we're doing that one." You know?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of ones that were like really tough to pull off. I mean, you would think something like Billie Eilish should be really tough to pull off, but her voice down an octave actually works really nicely with bass voice. So there's
Hmm.
some really cool bassy moments from that first EP, even though it's, it's like very preliminary, like prehistoric level of mixing and mastering for what we're capable of now. But trying to
No,
think
but I
of,
do, I do
I don't,
appreciate it though. Like
yeah,
you mixed some weird things. I mean, going from like Skyrim and Valhalla to sort of just doing like, I mean, what was the reason? Like, Blame It on the Boogie,
yeah,
which is just a weird one, but it's just like I still love it with Jay Nunn, who's a fantastic singer. But it's just like
yeah.
blame it, like a bass version of that. It's like okay,
Yeah, yeah, I know we've really gone all over the place. I hooked on a feeling with Tim Faust.
oh, that was fantastic. It's
You
just like
know, like the Awooga Chakas. Like that feels like a bass thing, but the rest of the song is very much a high tenor. Originally, very much a
a
high
lot of
tenor
that's very
solo.
high pitched. You know?
And then not the way we sang it. You know, we turned it into
No, you did. You find your way.
We turned it into a bass anthem. It's kind of
No,
what
but
we do.
I respect you so much for doing that. So, I mean, so yeah, first two, three. So meeting up to get together, all this, most of you meeting up together in Czechia to do music videos for Volume 3, I believe.
Yeah.
What was the feeling of like finally meeting each other, or like having sort of the band finally meet each other?
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, it was pure joy. And the other cool thing was like we spent so much time in calls,
Yeah,
like basically monthly meetings and always being in touch. We had been in touch constantly for at that point, like 2.5 years, and so we very much felt like we were friends, like we're real
yeah.
even though it's been only online contact. Very much felt like we were friends, and I mean I'll never forget I was like waiting in the Lisbon, Portugal airport, and then like I was like kind of napping, and then like someone's like wake me up, and it's Bobby, and I'm like, there he is. What's up, man? And it was just like immediately, it just felt like we had already been friends for so long for real. And it felt the same when we met Tommy, when we got to when the Czech Republic together. And even like Manov was there for like basically I think he was there the entire trip. And he wasn't in the bass gang, but it's like another bass we were familiar with online. And so like it was just, there was no moment of like, this is awkward because we've never met. It was just like, what's up, man? Like, how you
Oh,
doing?
good.
Like, immediately right. And I know it's going to be that way with Marwan too. Now it's, twice as long in this group without meeting Marwan. I mean, we'll have known Marwan for literally 5 years by the time we meet him.
And never actually interact with him in the room.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, there's a. Were you surprised how tall everyone was?
Not surprised. I mean, it was like,
Because I imagine there's a weird thing of like talking to people like over online, but then like actually seeing the person there and be like, oh, I can touch and like this. Oh,
I
this
was
is how. Okay.
I was amazed with how tall Tommy is. I'll say that. That dude is crazy tall. and
Fair
like
enough.
and like I knew it on paper, but then I saw him. I was like, man, because like in the music videos, we all basically look
Yeah,
like
you're
we're
all the
the
same
same
night.
size because that's what looks better in the music videos. But Tommy's like 6'6",
Oh
six
Jesus.
six. I think he's like 6'7", but he claims 6'6". He's
Oh
very
God.
very tall.
But
Um,
yeah, I mean, it says a lot how dedicated you are to all this because it's not like any of you are not busy. You've got your own stuff that you've got your own projects.
mhm.
Specifically, you, which you do have a project going on right now. Because if anyone doesn't know what you've been doing, you've been you say that you haven't been getting into musicals. You have this year gotten into musical theatre a little bit
Yeah, I guess
with
I'll sing my first lead sometime.
oh yeah. But let's talk about that. So I mean, you are making the musical Melody of War, which
Yeah,
you are still. Are you still holding auditions for that?
I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah,
So
so it's
yeah,
I would say I've been marketing it as a musical. I think that lands better. It's more of a concept album that has a lot of potential to be performed live. So it totally could become a live
I
musical
to
performance.
to be fair, that I've been with TikTok and Instagram, I've been hearing about almost everything. Where it's just like it's a musical, but it's actually an album that they want to put live. It's like, that's a musical. That's just what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So effectively, concept album musical. Yeah, 30 songs, 3 acts, 10 songs each, over 2 hours of original music. You know, it's a retelling of the story of Achilles and the Trojan War, and
I
told in a
mean
way
that.
that I don't think's been told before.
I mean, we have to get into that because if anyone doesn't know, it hasn't been on YouTube and TikTok for a while. Greek mythology, in a musical sense, is not new, but it's just because, like you say, featuring epic musical out there, they're like the kings of like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Why focus on Achilles? Why focus on the Trojan War?
I have always been fascinated by Achilles as a character, and always loved Greek mythology. I mean, what kid doesn't, right? So that's been a part of my interest forever. And how it started with Achilles really is because my friend Gavin, otherwise known as Miracle of Sound, the guy that wrote Valhalla Calling, I was picking his advice. I was getting his advice on original songwriting because it was something I'd never really done before. I'd written for choral music where the lyrics were already done, so like taking poetry and writing for choral music. I'd written tons of electronic music which had no lyrics at all, and so I had never done just like songwriting, like Ed Sheeran songwriting, where it's like melody, chords, lyrics. Had
Yeah,
never done that.
yeah, everything. Yeah,
Yeah, those things all together in a way that's like sort of more mainstream. And so he said you should find a character that you really like and then write a song about that character, because that's a lot of what he's done for his original music is he'll do like original songs based on like Skyrim or based on like a TV show.
mm.
And it's great because you get, if you love these characters, you have so much inspiration. You already have material to write off, right? If you write about, he did a song about Tyrion from Game of Thrones, for example. Like you've got Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones to pull from to create your
Yeah,
song. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start trying to write original music about a character that I feel attached to or am just interested in some way. This music and mythology is going crazy right now. Like it's been around forever. I mean, there are tons of operas about mythology. There's plays about mythology, but right now, because of Epic, really, and like Hadestown, that has really gotten pushed like into the mainstream a lot more. And so I was like, well, that's really popular. Like it was just kind of like all the stars aligned to where like it just made sense for me to start my original songwriting with Achilles. And originally I was just thinking like, well, I'll just write a song about Achilles. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll write like, an EP or like a 10-song thing, like a short thing.
mm.
And I was like, I'm just completely incapable of not going for it. And so I was like, how about I just write the biggest project I can think of for my first ever original project,
I
and
mean,
then
that's a hell of a thing to start with, man.
yeah,
Like a 30 songs, what you said.
yeah, 30 songs. It's like 2 hours and 13 minutes of music.
I mean that. I mean, I'll ask this: how much of this is how many songs have you actually written?
Oh, it's done. It's all
You've
done.
written all of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, putting that into action. What was the feeling of like, okay, I have to now write original songs, not just one. I have to write 30 of them. They have to be each different and connected at the same time.
Yeah.
What was that feeling getting in your head of like, how do I write this?
I'm glad I didn't know at the time how big of an undertaking it was. you know, you kind of the further you dig, the more you realize there is to like uncover. How it started, the origin story of Melody of War is that I'd been working with Tegan on some projects. She came on the podcast, and then we did Zombie together, and then we were working on Legends Never Die together. And she's a great songwriter, and so I got her on a Zoom call just to pick her brain about songwriting. And then like 4 hours later, like she's like all in on the project. And so for the first couple months, we were working pretty closely together on writing it together. It was going to be like a whole co-writing thing. And so it started with us just like texting back and forth, and she would send me like some lines of poetry, and I would send her like some music. And our approach was I was mostly going to be writing music because that's what I knew, and she was mostly going to be doing lyrics, that was her specialty because she's always had JP as her producer, and we were going to like tag team this whole thing. at some point she got pulled away. She had a lot, like she's got a lot going on. She's in shows. She's got
Yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
solo projects. She's very busy, and so
She's extremely busy.
extremely busy. So she gets kind of pulled away, and so I start realizing like, okay, I'm gonna actually either I need to get someone else to co-write this, or I'm just gonna become a songwriter, basically.
Yeah.
And I went with the just become a songwriter route, and so my approach, I mean, I basically lived in this studio right over here, my production station, from early October 2024 until about June of 2025, just writing the music start to finish. Not in perfect order, though. Not in perfect order, but writing all 30 songs. And, that was kind of a slow forming process. It was like, how much of the story do I want to cover? What parts of the story do I need to write? How do I divide them up into sagas or acts? And
Well, well, I mean, that's something we should probably get into a little bit. How much? Because not, I mean, not everyone knows the story of Achilles unless you've studied
yeah,
it or you've learned a little bit. Because I mean, the Iliad, which is basically the story has Achilles in it, is long. It is
yeah.
a, he has a big role in it. How much did you cut and keep?
Well, what's interesting about the Iliad is it's really like the last 2 months of the Trojan War, which is like a 10-year
Yeah.
war, supposedly. And the Iliad is so dense with like lineage, and this
Um.
person was the son of this person was the son of this person. And like
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. Just.
if you wrote a whole 30-song show just based on the Iliad, I think it would be dreadfully boring.
Oh no. I know. 4/5 of that thing is background knowledge,
It's
whether you have
lineage.
to know everything leading up to it. It's just like get to the bit we want,
I
please.
know. It's just lineage, and like there are some like really, I mean, it's a fantastic piece of
Oh, I'm not. Yeah,
literature,
it's the stories in it and like the mythology of that is so ingrained into my mind of like learning that sort of stuff and that with I can then know with Odysseus with it because all that stuff is fantastic. But
Yeah.
it's just like it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's very dense. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to write a show just about the Iliad. So I've got to go out from there. And it was figuring out like how far out to go from there, and then what sources to pull from to write the whole story. And it really is. It is, the story is really Achilles and Patroclus in childhood all the way until they're both dead and back
Yeah,
and in the underworld. It covers that whole thing, which goes way beyond the Iliad in both directions, right?
yeah,
Um, so it was figuring out from that. Once I realized like that's the story I wanted to tell, then it's figuring out, well, what pieces from the story are most important and how to divide them up. And I mean the concept went anywhere from 25 songs to 40 songs basically, and then eventually I like trimmed a lot of fat and got it down to like 30 really important critical moments of the story. And I also really, I'm like a little bit OCD and like a little bit of a perfectionist, and where I wanted it to be even. So like 10 songs, 10 songs, 10 songs for act one, two, three, like very similar lengths. I love this kind of symmetry of that. And also,
I'm gonna laugh in 6 months' time, and you're gonna have to change that because it doesn't make any sense.
oh, it makes sense. You'll see.
I'll hold you to it.
But it just turned out to also be just like I think if I had tried to add 10 more songs in there, sure, there were some other important like moments in there. Maybe there's some B-roll moments. Maybe I could have made up some other stuff to throw in there, right, to add to the lore. But like 30 songs is like the tight, digestible version, just a little over 2 hours. So like you put that up on stage,
Yeah.
people can easily sit through that, right? It's half the length of some of these operas, right?
No, I mean that's the thing. Where it's like, yeah, 30 songs is pretty much the length of any musical going on right now, and half of an opera, which is
Yeah,
all songs out there. But like, did
right.
you? I mean, for someone like who basically studied as an opera singer, did you sort of have to like rework how to write that way in terms of not making it sound like opera, or was it just I'm making it sound the way I want it to sound?
Yeah, for I knew I didn't want to write an opera because that was something I played around with the idea of at first. It was like, should I just write like a proper like grand opera about Achilles and the Trojan War? And I was like, I could, like I know how to write for orchestra and I know how to write for operatic voice for sure, but I was like that like how I would have to go about that is like either I mean I would have to write the full orchestral score, which I
Yeah,
really wasn't interested in. I was like I want to produce music, and I also want to produce music that like a lot of people will hear. And
Mm.
like it might be the best opera ever written, but even the really successful opera nowadays has it doesn't have nearly the reach of a concept album or
Yeah.
even a musical theater show. It just doesn't. And so when I realized I didn't want to do an opera, I just decided I'm just going to write whatever genres I feel like make the most sense to tell each part of the story. So it's
Okay.
not like the whole thing's rock or the whole thing's musical theater. It's like Achilles fighting Hector is a very, very, very different feeling than when Achilles and Patroclus are like meeting each other and like playing with each other as little boys.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, so whatever the emotional feeling was, whatever the moment called for, I was just like, I'm just going to write the music that I think best tells this part of the story. So there's a through line of like rock. I would say rock is the most present because it's like a pretty hardcore story. And it
Yeah.
feels like
Yeah.
you need the big guitars and you need the big rock drums and the big vocals. And so like I would say, like, gun to my head, it is like a rock leaning musical theater show, but there's pop and there's folk and there's some electronic in there. And also underneath all of it, pulling from that opera background, there's pretty much orchestra on some level throughout the whole piece.
Okay.
So there's like always like a full string section, aside from maybe two songs that are very intentionally don't have certain instrumentation. So it's like modern genres with orchestration. I've been calling it ancient bones with modern flesh as far as the
Oh,
music.
I love that name. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, for anyone who doesn't, you're still very early in this stage, in the sense of like you're still holding auditions. I don't. I mean, I know you put some clips out there on Instagram, but I don't. Have you? There hasn't been any full demos out there, has there?
Just clips.
Just,
Just
just yeah,
clips.
just
So
clips.
the only people that have the full demos are on the Patreon community. I give them early access to the demos. Yeah.
Have you already? I just because I know other people who do group mythology give us a lot. Have you already had people question uh, how how historically accurate
Yes.
it is
Yeah, I've had
of you being
all
like,
people
why is this in
questioning
there? It's just like,
all kinds of things already, and like what I'm including in the story. And everyone on TikTok's an expert, so it's an uphill battle the whole way. And I try to just be patient and be appreciative that people are interested, right? You know,
I mean,
there's the comments of like, this is just an epic copycat, and there's the
oh,
comments
well,
of like, how could you not tell this part of the story, or like, you get everything in the TikTok comment section, but there's also a lot of really positive, people who are really, really excited about it.
I imagine. Well, I mean, I also imagine the fact that because it is sort of. I mean, no one's going to deny that Melody of War and Epic the musical do have some similar things in the sense that characters from Epic are in it because it's the same
Right.
damn story. But also, several people from that musical, so there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be cross play in it. But like, is there a feeling of like making sure it doesn't sound like Epic?
Oh yeah, very much. And also like full transparency, like would I have written this show if Jay had never written Epic? Probably not. Cuz like I really believe he opened up that door for people, and now there's all kinds of musical theater concept albums being written because he nailed it, by the way. Like he wrote an amazing
Oh my god,
show. Like
he,
I really admire his songwriting, and especially his ability to write melody and hook. Like he wrote like, I mean really it's like a giant amazing pop album. It's like very pop coded.
oh yeah. I mean, I
Um
know. I've reacted to the whole thing. I mean, I could hear you play Zeus,
oh
in
yeah, for
In
sure,
Thunderbird.
for
You know?
sure. Yeah. Luke and I have that kind of thing that if
Yeah.
that chocolatey baritone thing going on, right?
Well, I mean,
Um
I'll love if you. I love in the future because I mean, I know right now, Jay is working on a musical version of the Iliad. So I'd love to see like in future
hey,
you
I'll
have like
audition.
beef for each other on it.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. But so Jay wrote an absolutely unbelievable thing with Epic. I don't think a lot of these projects being written now would exist without it. And yeah, I mean, and Jay and I's musical writing is very different. Like my show sounds nothing like Epic.
I
Truly,
look forward to it.
truly nothing like it. Like they're like the pop songs, the few pop songs that I wrote in Melody of War. Maybe some of those sound a little bit like they're from the same world, but I mean,
that's gonna be difficult because a lot of musical theater is going to sound the same. You know.
exactly. But like it's very, very different from Epic. I can't stress that enough for
Yes, we'll
people. And
make it up. Yeah, you are not making an epic copycat. It is entirely different and
it's
all
so
you.
different. Yeah, it's so different.
I mean, are you auditioning for Achilles, or are you just dead set on that role yourself?
I'm seeing Achilles. Yeah, I'm taking that one. And you know, like that it was such a it's if you there are a lot of main characters, but he's the main character, right? He's the main guy.
I mean,
I don't even
it's
know if you
just
can call him
interesting
a
because
protagonist, but he's kind of like a, you know.
well, it's just interesting because we talked earlier about how like you don't normally play heroes, and in this one you are playing the iconic hero.
Yeah, some kind of he's kind of like an anti-hero, he's kind of a hero. He's like cuz he's got what I'm trying to do with Achilles is I'm really trying to make him more interesting than we've seen him before in any kind of portrayal. And my big philosophy with that is like, you know, taking the mythic warrior we get from like the Troy with Brad Pitt,
I was
right?
about to say that's the only one I think most people will know.
We get that like that version I think really captures him as like a savage warrior who's just unbelievably gifted at killing people. Incredible. And then we
Yeah.
get but like in that movie like all obviously historical inaccuracies and
Yeah,
and he
that's
and
not whole Troy to huge stands
yeah,
that way.
and he and Patroclus are cousins. Like there's no
Mm,
hint at like any kind of uh gay
romance, so
or
yeah,
yeah, there's
kind
no romance there. And so I wanted that side of Achilles, the mythic warrior side, and I also wanted to get his relationship with Patroclus.
of.
And so like I really try to capture like those are like the two pillars of the show is like Achilles mythic warrior and Achilles as like lover of Patroclus. And I don't know of a version that has a retelling that's really gotten both of those because you get Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, beautiful story told from the perspective of Patroclus, so it's all about their relationship side, and then you get the Troy, which is all the mythic warrior side.
Yeah.
And so if there are versions out there that really try to capture both in like a really detailed 3D way, I'm not aware of them. And so
No, but
that was a big goal I'm going for with this show.
no, but you're right. Because I think of myself like that. I mean, like the relationship that, I mean, let's put it this way: the relationship that they have in the actual written text is ambiguous to say the least, in the
It
sense of
is,
like
yeah.
it's never actually defined.
Right.
But it's sort of like context of like it could be seen that way because it's very much like okay, yeah, sure, you know.
Yeah, you
So
know, it's cuz the wording nowadays is different than what it would have been then.
yeah, like you can
And
interpret things much differently when
yeah,
you see it now, you know.
right. And it was like it was quite normal for men to have male partners and
Oh
female
yeah,
partners. Like that was just part of the culture then. And so
yeah.
it would have been much more
Which
acceptable
is
in a way than you might think because it's ancient. It feels
well,
like
it's hilarious for something more than 3,000 years ago to be more modern.
yeah, right, exactly. Um, but I was really trying to capture both of those things, and then
I, I can't wait. I can't wait for. I mean, do we have a hint of when the first song might come out?
yeah, so there's a new game plan for the release schedule, so I can give you like a loose framing. So originally, I was going to release Act One in May, and then Act Two a couple months later, Act Three a couple months later. That is all being pushed back and stretched out further for a number of reasons. Mainly, uh, it is so much to get together. It is just an
No, I don't. We
unbelievable
get it.
amount to get together. Like the visuals I'm working on and getting like live musicians for the entire thing. Obviously auditions are a huge undertaking, far bigger than I anticipated. So the new plan is Act One in September ish, fall of 2026. Act Two early 2027. Act Three spring, early summer 2027. But we're planning to release 3 singles from Act One starting in May when we were originally going to release Act One.
Okay,
So
so
we're actually only like 6 months away, which is pretty crazy.
Okay, I was about to say, give people a little bit of hope instead of just making them wait a full
Yeah.
year.
But the other thing is like, as soon as casting starts coming in, I'll be getting clips out with the cast, and there's going to be cast
Oh
announcements,
yeah.
and then like the visuals and like the animatics are going to start coming out in their early phases. It's going to like really start cooking, I think, early 2026.
I mean, we should mention it a little bit before, but I mean, you were also a guest vocalist in Stories from Sticks. Yeah,
Yes.
a little concept out, another concept out involving Greek
Yeah.
mythology, because
Yeah.
for some reason that's just too many of them. Did did that sort of like help you make the decision to be like, okay, I'm going to make my own thing, or was that just a nice added feature that you were doing on the side as well?
Actually, what's crazy is I think Casper and I started the shows at a very similar time, and he
Okay.
he really got after it and really quick turnaround, and like wrote the songs very quickly, got them produced very quickly, um, got casting done really really like lightning speed casting done, got the visuals done. Like his goal was like how fast can I get this project out,
Yeah.
and there's some awesome songs on that. Some awesome songs. There's some great singers on that project too, and he really turned it around fast. Whereas my approach was like, I'm just gonna be alone in a studio and take all the time I need to write the music and really focus on the
Well, I
music as
mean,
much as possible, and then stretch it out kind of as
yeah.
long as take as long as it needs to take.
Well, to be fair, this is like the first major project you've worked on, and like you said, you're a perfectionist. You want to get it done
Yes,
right.
yes, take all the time in the world. Like no, like I wasn't doing like what's amazing about what Casper did with Stories is he was doing to push the timeline up. He was doing everything at once. Like he was getting the auditions together, and he was working on animatics, and like the whole project was like a primordial ooze that was slowly like coming together. And I think he turned it around in like 7 or 8 months from like concept to like
Oh, gee, that is
released
quick.
so fast. I'm like, mine's gonna be like 2.5 years before it's like now it's more songs, right? His Stories from Sticks was 6 songs, Melody of War's 30,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
even
yeah.
so,
His is shorter. Yours is much more longer.
it's much longer. But like to his credit, and my hat is off to him, like he really just like got after it, and like release time was very much a priority for that. And still wrote some good songs, and like there's
I
there's
mean,
really some great
I
there's
mean,
really some great stuff. And yes, I was a part of it. Like I keep
yeah. I mean,
like
you're in two of them. You're
yeah
like, as the
yeah
bass player,
I had
you had to play Zeus.
yeah I had the pleasure of singing Zeus, and I was happy that Casper wanted me to be a part of it. He reached out to me about being a part of it, and before that I was already thinking about like throwing my hat in the ring, because like how cool is it to be the voice of Zeus, right?
Yeah.
Like since I saw Hercules in 1999, that's something I want to do. So I'm really glad that he reached out to me and was open to me being a part of it. And yeah, it was. I mean, it was so cool to see, especially see the animatics come out. That was my favorite thing, is like to see yourself kind of in like animated form doing the voice. It was really cool, and it was a really. I mean, he made the process very easy. It was like a very very easy recording process for me. I think I did one session in the vocal booth, to record my Zeus parts, and then everything else, it's just like send it back. It goes to JP. Like the visuals are all animatic, so I don't have to shoot any videos aside from like a thing here and there for socials. I mean, it's the cushiest job in the world. Like for real. This is why so many people audition for these shows. If you get a job on like a Melody of War or an Epic or a Stories from Sticks, like it is so cushy, because all you do is just record your raw vocals and send them in,
And
and
you're
then you're
done.
done. And then so much back end is done after you've done that, and then
Yeah.
you just get to ride that wave. I mean, it's
Well, yeah,
great.
because
It was
it's all on you.
yeah, it's crazy like how little work I had to do for Zeus for how much I've gotten in return, both from like streaming revenue and just like viewership on whatever animatics have come out, and like it's been great. I'm gonna keep auditioning for these projects, because I'm telling you, it is a cushy job.
No, please do. I look forward to hearing more of you. So, like the last 10 minutes of the interview, which you've been great at. One thing I normally do with my guests is I give them some rapid fire questions, which they're not fast questions I make you answer fast, but it's like simple questions which I want a simple answer to as much as possible. And I try and tailor this as much as I can. So
Okay.
hopefully you're ready for this.
All right.
So let's give you an easy one. Easiest song you've ever sung.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Okay, okay. That's as
It's actually
simple
not
that.
that it's actually not that easy to sing well, but it's like a very simple melody to follow and all that.
I guess yeah, because it is
Short
sort of.
answers. Sorry, short
No,
answers.
no, 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 no. Please, please. I welcome exposition. We got 10 minutes. We got time. So let's just go add to that of the bass gang songs. Which one was the easiest?
Oh my god. Okay, easiest bass gang song. It's got to be probably More Than Words because the arrangement was just super simple.
Okay, I love that. Then let's flip on the side. Hardest bass gang song.
Oh my gosh. That's definitely something from Marwan or Tommy. I'm trying. Okay, Valhalla Calling was absolutely brutal because I had to sing a bunch of tenor high B's for that one. But also, oh man, this is really tough.
You can give me two or three if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, from what I'm trying to remember my like lived experience of recording these parts, and I want to say Hide and Seek and Valhalla Calling were probably the hardest to record.
Okay, I'll give you that one. And aside from bass gang, is there a cover that you've done hardest song you've ever sung?
The hardest song I've ever sung.
Yeah.
It would be something operatic, just because that's the hardest technique to do for sure.
Fair enough.
Probably the Toreador aria from Carmen is
Oh, okay.
notoriously a fiendishly difficult aria for bass baritones.
Okay. Okay. Next one's it's a little bit sneaky just because it involves you going to the melody of water, but I just wanted to see if you can. Has there been an easiest song to write?
Yeah, I wrote a song in Act 3, which I can't reveal much details for.
No,
But yeah, I wrote it. I wrote the lyrics in like 5 or 10 minutes, and then it was just figuring out. It was just figuring out what music I wanted to put over it. Yeah,
okay.
and it's I think one of the strongest songs in the show. Yeah, I think it's gonna crush people.
I can't wait for
Gonna
it.
break people's hearts.
No, don't do that to me. Well, then on the flip side of that, if you can give it to me, what was the hardest one to write?
Yeah, the hardest song to write a melody of war was probably song. It's a song in Act 2. It's the kind of face off between Agamemnon and Achilles before Achilles
Okay.
abandons the war effort. And yeah, it took me. I worked so much every day for like a week in the studio to figure out. I had like the pieces. I had like the instruments I wanted to use. I had like the main themes, and I just couldn't get them in the right order to make it like lock in and really sound how I wanted it to. And after like a week of shuffling things around and playing with levels and playing with different kinds of samples of the same instrument, it finally like locked in, and I was like, yes, this is the sound I've been searching for. But it was an absolute slog. Like I could have abandoned that project 50 times, but I kept pushing.
Oh,
And
I can't
it's
wait
awesome.
for it when it comes
I,
out.
I love it now. Yeah, it goes hard. It's another one of the rock coded songs for sure.
Okay, moving on. Best cover song you've made.
Hmm. For my solo stuff.
But well, add bass gang to it. You solo and bass gang. What's
Oh
the
my.
best one you've done? Well, not
Oh my.
best. Favorite one.
I think still my favorite bass gang song is "Friend Like Me" from Volume 3.
Ah, yeah.
I have just. I love that. I love Bobby's arrangement so much. I love his vocal performance on that. That song makes me so happy every time I listen to it. I think it's a massively underrated bass gang cover.
Which is weird for a friend like me because of
I
such a good
know, I know. I
song.
think it's so good and the video's so fun. Like, I don't know. I don't know how that one didn't pop off for real.
Maybe after this, it might get a bit more attention now that people know you like it.
Yeah, go listen to Friend Like Me. That's not even my solo on the album, but like I like it way more than Gaston.
Okay. Moving on to the last two or three. This one's probably one of the hardest ones you've done. Favorite opera you've ever been in?
Okay. So my favorite opera is Carmen.
Yeah.
My favorite role I've ever sung is Don Giovanni.
Okay. Yeah, I sort of anticipated with Don Giovanni.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
that is fair enough. Favorite song you would like to cover?
Okay, okay. Ooh, favorite song I would like to cover. Trying to think of like the ones that I've been like planning for a while.
This is good because then we might see a sneak peek of what the next Bass Gang song might be.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of because I know it's on it in Volume 5, and now I feel like I can't reveal any of those song titles.
Fair enough.
Oh my gosh, this is a tough one, man. This is a really tough one. I've thought about doing a cover of Thunderbringer because so many people have requested that.
Make asking you for it.
Yes, like yes, asking, begging, and so that's way up on my list. I actually have like an original instrumental for it ready to go that I got somebody to produce for it. So it's let's go with Thunderbringer. Let's go with Thunderbringer, and maybe we'll see
Okay.
that one this year.
Well, hopefully. And last one, just because we talked about it so much, and I'll make you a top three this time because this is a bit tougher.
Okay, good.
Top three Disney movies.
Woo, woo, man. Okay, I gotta go. Beauty and the Beast is in there.
Yeah,
Hercules is in there.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What's the fabled three?
What is the third? There's so many great Disney movies to choose from. This is brutal.
I know, but that's why I had to. I made a top three. I
You
didn't
know
want to
what?
do just top one.
I'm gonna go Princess and the Frog.
Oh wow,
I'm
that's a curveball in there.
I'm gonna go Princess and the Frog. I know it's crazy to not choose something like Lion King, but I actually watched Princess and the Frog for the first time like 6 months ago, and I was just blown away by how good it was.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no, I
blown
get
away.
that. Now, sometimes there's things that I was just like, oh, I missed 2D. You know, I missed
Oh
drawing.
man, yeah. Wasn't that the? I think that was the last one they did with
Yeah, it was.
that.
It's. I mean, I remember when they promoted it years ago, is that they made a big point of like this is the first one they did in years, and the last one they've ever done where they've
Yeah,
actually hand drawn it.
yeah. It's really amazing.
But
It's a,
I also remember the writers. I've been asked about that. I said, "Why is it?" And they said, "Because it's damn hard to do."
yeah, yeah. It's great. Well, I mean, I don't know if you there's a great documentary that you should watch and any Disney fans should watch. It's about the making of Frozen 2, and
Oh,
it will absolutely blow your mind what goes into creating a movie like that and what goes into that animation style. Because
yeah, that's true.
it's easy to think like it's not hand drawn, it's like not as hard to do or whatever. But like they've got like 70 animators per character working on like the team. It's like thousands of people that come together and work 14 hours a day for a year to create a movie like that. It completely blew my mind. Completely blew my mind.
Well, that's the end of my questions, and that is the end of today's interview. Peter, you have been a fantastic person, guest to talk to, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So please plug whatever you wish to plug out there. Which highlight the fact that you now have you're on a Christmas album, which I
Yeah.
didn't know was a thing. So please promote what you're promoting.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It was a great, thoroughly enjoyed it. Full 2 hour chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. My name's Peter Barber. You can look me up pretty much anywhere. YouTube, Instagram is Peter M Barber. TikTok's Peter M Barber. YouTube's just Peter Barber. But you can just Google Peter Barber and you'll find all my stuff. Melody of War musical is that's the big thing I'm working on now. It's what all my time is going towards. Basically, that's Melody of War musical on Instagram, TikTok. It's melodyofwarmusical.com is the official website. Videos for Melody of War will be going on my personal YouTube channel, so you're covered there. The Bass Gang, check us out. A lot of great stuff coming for the Bass Gang, especially May the Bass Be With You Volume 5 that we are shooting together in Egypt in February. And yeah, this Christmas album with basically like the cast of Epic, which is dropping tonight at midnight, December 1st
Yeah.
at midnight. And there's even going to be a
Yes.
listening party on JP's Instagram at 11 p.m. EST. And me, Luke Holt, which is the voice of Zeus in Epic, and JP are doing We Three Kings together.
I cannot wait to hear that. I can't wait for that to come out. Peter, you've been absolutely fantastic. That is it for today's show, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you guys next time with a brand new guest, a brand new show. So take care, everyone. Bye.